Let's see, am I not too fuzzy? Okay. Am I good? Jake, am I good? I'm good. Anyways, hi, welcome to the Home Rehabilitation Network. I'm your host, agrichuhin. We're kind of going over just a few things. So there was some questioning on pulse oximetry. So when I put a pulse ox, just so you guys know who I am and what I'm all about. So my name is agrichuhin. I'm a 4-time award-winning practitioner in the state of Maryland. I'm highly recommended throughout the state as well as in many other states as being a very good practitioner when it comes to pulmonary rehabilitation and cardiac rehabilitation. Okay, so if you have any questions, please just shout them out. It's not a big deal. Just type them in. I'll try to answer anything I can. Okay. Please also understand I'm kind of limited on how many people I can answer at one time. So because I do this as a support group to help people, okay, help educate, and also do some interactive stuff. But anyways, you can always find me on with HRN. It's the Home Rehabilitation Network. So if you go to www.homerehabnetwork.com, then basically that's who we are. We're online rehabilitation. So, but I do have to go into hospitals and other places like that for people, because people need me. And that's just how it is, and that's a good thing. It's job security. So, anyways, pulse oximetry. Just understand that this assumes everything. Pulse oximeters. I see a lot of people put it on their fingers and then they see something radical, like they see maybe like 33% SpO2, and then they start freaking out, because they're a little winded. Even if you're a little winded at 33% or at 30, 40, even 50s, but especially like the 30s and 40s, you'd be dead. 60 to 50, actually even 70, is what we call the knockout points. So that means when you're at that low saturations, you're about to pass out, okay? When you're out of breath, first thing you want to do is you want to pursed lip breathe until you catch your breath back. But just understand pulse oximeters, they assume everything. They assume you have the correct amount of blood pressure, the right blood pressure. It's not too high, it's not too low. It assumes, actually high pressure wouldn't actually hurt it as much. But anyways, it assumes you have the correct temperature. There's not too much ambient light. It assumes there's not, if you're a female or even a male that has fingernail polish that's not too dark, okay? It assumes a lot. So very first thing, before ever putting on a pulse ox, just decipher how well you feel. But if you were at around 30 to 40, you'd be dead. So don't freak out, okay? If you're alive, then obviously, if you're alive and conscious, all right, you're not seeing stars in front of you, and you see a radical number, assess yourself first, okay? Never assume anything. It could be a low battery. There's a lot of things. But if I saw somebody, and let's say they're at 88% or, 85 to 74, and it's not like 90 or above, right? And I see somebody's saturations, and they don't look very out of breath, I'll actually just confirm it with another hand. Okay, because sometimes if I don't do a modified Allen's test, I can actually have poor perfusion if it's not really deciphered yet, right? From cardiac complications, maybe even from digital clubbing. It's like a giver right there, even though digital clubbing kind of compensated. Anyways, if I find somebody's saturations are low, I'll actually check with another finger. Okay, I'll check with another finger. Remember, every single time you use this, you have to wait 30 seconds. It doesn't matter if you have the best pulse ox ever made in the world, okay? It's always 30 seconds. You have to wait 30 seconds. Reason is that these are a clamp, okay? So when you put these on, you have to wait 30 seconds. So it's like if I put my finger down on my skin, I alleviate the pressure, I see the capillary blood actually flow out, and there's that little white spot. And then, about 30 seconds later, or about 10 seconds, the capillary blood from my pressure will actually push through that spot. So, so long story short, what's really happening, make sure I'm still on there. Yeah, so what's really happening is the same thing with a clamp like this, and this is technically a clamp. It's a pulse oximeter, but it has a spring in it. I have to wait 30 seconds because the blood got pushed out. I got to wait for it to recirculate back in, right? So every time you're checking, always wait 30 seconds, okay? That's the manufacturer's instructions from every pulse ox. You have to wait 30 seconds. So if your first number was 33 and you've been doing that for years, unfortunately, you've been doing that incorrectly, okay? All right, so 30 seconds. If I see a radical number, I'll actually check with another hand. If I see a high number, this one's low, and I see the patient is actually, they're breathing just fine, they're doing fine, they're not stressed or anything, then I'm going to say it's poor perfusion, right? I have to check it. You know, I'll do a modifying sounds test. You can't do that on yourself. You have to do it with somebody else. It's where you hold the ulna and the radial arteries, and you have the person squeeze their fist. You tell them to open up, and then you alleviate the pressure off the ulna, and you see the circulation of the blood. You know, their hand, you see the little white marks, right? Then after you open up the radial, then basically, I'm sorry, the radial. Did I say ulna? Ulna. It actually doesn't matter which one, but ulna. Once you open up the ulna, then you see how much time was allotted for the blood to recirculate. If it takes a long time, then that just means you have poor perfusion in your hand. Okay, that means pulse oximetry might be a little difficult. Okay. That's with pulse oximetry, okay? If you wear oxygen, just understand too, you know, pulse oximetries, they assume everything, just like blood pressure. I see this time and time and again. People go to those kiosks and like those pharmacies where they put their arm through, they push the button, you sit down in this little kiosk, right? They push the button and they see a pressure like 120 over 120. Well, if it was 120 over 120, there's no pressures. You know, there's a reason why you have a systolic pressure and a diastolic pressure. You need two pressures. One pressure to push nutrients into a cell, another pressure to suck it back out, right? Suck bad stuff out. So if the pressures were the same, you'd be dead. So obviously, if you saw 120, I see it all the time. It's nothing to laugh about, but it's kind of funny if you look at it. Because I see people, they see, you know, they're conscious and they're seeing that, like, oh my goodness, call 911, and they just freak out. That's not the appropriate way to do things like that. You don't want to do that. But yeah, we see that problem all the time. So remember, these machines, they assume everything. You are unique. Everybody, even with their disease state, they're all unique. Everybody's different. Just because two people have COPD, they have the exact same symptoms? No. They will have completely different symptoms. Closely related, but they're going to be completely different. One has worse congestion than the other. You know, they still have both coughs. You know, they probably still have both congestion from chronic bronchitis or and with the emphysema. You know, but it just all depends on the person. But really, two people with the same disease they will never be identical in the same. There's the symptoms. They're always going to be different. Okay, just understand that. Thanks a lot.